Happy Wednesday, everyone. Well, not if you're Whoopi Goldberg. AKA Karen Johnson. Yeah, who knew Whoopi was a Karen? I thought that was only for white people, like Toyota Priuses and Steam. Roll it, Francis.
Good morning and welcome to The View. You all saw the news. Whoopi will be back here in 2 weeks. Okay?
So cute when one of their side gets punished. They sulk like they ran out of raw cookie dough in the green.
Whoopi Goldberg's recent meltdown could have been the plot of a Lifetime movie, complete with dramatic piano music and uncomfortable eye contact. Was it enough to make you cry? Or did your ego vanish under the weight of Greg Gutfeld's brutal roast? If you thought daytime TV couldn't get more intense, think again. Whoopi unraveled faster than her last failed punchline, and this takedown is messier than a Real Housewives reunion in a thunderstorm. Buckle up.
Just suspended Whoopi for 2 weeks because she said the Holocaust had nothing to do with race. She said this on a show called The View, which makes everything about race. Except now.
The Holocaust isn't about race. No. It's not about race. It's not about race. It's not about race because it's about man's inhumanity to man.
Yeah, that's heroically stupid.
The breakdown came courtesy of Greg Gutfeld, a sharp-tongued Fox News provocateur who uses sarcasm like a flamethrower in a room full of paper. 1 minute, Whoopi was confidently lecturing from her faux leather throne on The View, and the next, she was unraveling like a bargain sweater in a hot wash cycle.
View, otherwise known as Hell's DMV, Whoopi Goldberg asked how much different are the values of the Trump administration from the Taliban?
We have a leader who has repeatedly demeaned women, wants to defund organizations that benefit women, calling on the media to shut up, specifically wants to give preferential treatment.
Let's not pretend this was unexpected. Whoopi's been building toward this moment. For months, like prepping for a vacation, she knew would be chaotic. What should have been a lively exchange of ideas instead devolved into the digital equivalent of 5 malfunctioning voice assistants bickering over who's right. And leading the mess. Whoopi, marching like the tambourine-playing conductor of this off-key orchestra, fully convinced she speaks for the people.
Talk about groundbreaking to actually hear a celebrity say something mean about the Taliban. How dare they compare them to Trump? The Taliban should sue. Guess they ran out of Hitler analogies. So as they bash the president, I'm reminded how entertainers rarely express any rage over any strand of misogynist Islamism. If they did, we might take their rage toward Trump seriously. A reminder, the Taliban throw acid in girls' faces for going to school. Yeah, I guess that's like defunding Planned Parenthood. Radical Islam is all for killing gays, and I guess that's the same as making some rude jokes. You know, Trump's past rudeness is a product of a rude culture, one fed and fattened by a coarse entertainment in...
When Gutfeld finally clapped back, her reaction was as limp as a wet napkin. Dramatic eyes, exaggerated sighs, and all the theatrics you'd expect. With his smug grin and razor-sharp wit, he dared to challenge daytime TV's reigning drama queen. Whoopi didn't see it coming. His response landed so hard, it echoed across networks like a media mic drop.
Apparently they're throwing tariffs on manatee meat and bovine semen, which means The View is very unhappy. Sausage maker Johnsonville is recalling more than 42,000 pounds of pork sausage for possible contamination with plastic fibers. Fortunately, authorities were able to track all 42,000 pounds to a single location in New York City.
This wasn't just a roast. It was an intellectual dismantling. While she rambled passionately about the latest buzzword making rounds in her circle, Gutfeld calmly pointed out the flimsy logic in her arguments. And as usual, Whoopi resorted to her favorite performance, the dramatic meltdown. She didn't stay calm, she flailed. It's her signature move. Play the victim, pull out the oppression card, and act like a dove just flew out of her sleeve yelling, "How dare you!" But this wasn't raw emotion. It was performance art.
You're small, but who's the dumbest one of all? True, none of them are in Mensa, but who's the most densa? Perhaps it's Sonny who mastered the art of making idiots look smart. Now the View could ask a mirror who's the dumbest one of all, but there's no way that glass doesn't shatter. So instead, let's check out this clip from Monday's episode of The View when the ladies put their science caps on and discuss the soul.
Let's be honest. The View has turned into a sanctuary for self-congratulation, where the hosts try to outdo each other in stating the obvious with a condescending flair. They sit around, nodding like bobbleheads, pretending they're in a high-minded debate, while Whoopi leads the charge, often making sweeping declarations based on a headline she skimmed 2 weeks ago. She's the queen of confident ignorance.
Hallway. The raptor's here, and then also I learned that cicadas are coming. Cicadas.
Oh,
For the first time in like 100 years, for the first time in many, many years.
No, every 17 years this happens.
Well, that's not what I read, but maybe maybe you know better. All those things together, what maybe made one to believe that either climate change exists. Or something is
They're quite some at the mercy of climate change. It's on the ground. They can't.
It happens, and the eclipse, they've known about the eclipse coming because eclipses happen, and they actually can say when these things are going to happen.
Amazing. That's not what I read. The true sign of the apocalypse is someone that dumb has a law degree. Worse, if your name has the word sun in it, there's no excuse for not knowing how an eclipse works. But it's no surprise that Joy is the one who understands science. She's been on the science diet for years.
When a guest challenges the narrative, they're either gently pushed aside, or the topic is conveniently changed. These days, the show feels more like a live-action Twitter mob in a group chat. That's where Gutfeld stepped in. Not with insults, but with uncomfortable truths. He hurled reality into a house built on sentiment and exposed what many viewers already suspected. The self-righteous tone is so thick it could be mistaken for an extra co-host. Whoopi, mid-monologue, was cut off, and her face said it all. How dare you question me, mere mortal? Her glare implied, as if she had stumbled into a logic class by accident. Then came the dramatic sigh. The universal weight pressing down on her designer brooch, an inflated moral compass. The rest? A chaotic blend of muddled history references, misused academic jargon, and what could only be described as emotional interpretive dance. Watching her try to cry without ruining her makeup while ranting about topics she barely understands is the peak of primetime disaster. You could almost hear the producer slamming the commercial break button.